Hello, my friends. How are you guys doing today? It is raining, and I kind of like it. It's kind of soothing. But today, I actually want to talk about me not like needing anybody, my experience with that, why I was that way, and why I realized that it's okay to need somebody. So I actually wrote down on my phone script thing that I wanted to read. So, okay. Here we go. For as long as I can remember, I believed I didn't need anyone. I took care of myself, handled my own problems, and never asked for help. And for my entire life, I learned this was my strength. Obviously, as an adult, I'm learning it's okay to lean on others, even though it's extremely uncomfortable. This is due to my younger years as a child and learning that if I wanted something done, I had to do it myself. My needs were never met emotionally, so I stopped expecting them to be. I was yelled at, told I was a problem child for standing up against unhealed adults, forced to cry alone in my room with no one comforting me. So, this led me to learning how to cater to my own emotions, to not count on those close to me. I counted on myself. I learned very fast and adapted to the idea that I didn't need anyone because in my mind, needing people meant I was weak. If I couldn't deal with things alone, I was weak. So I had no one to love me the way a child needed it, no one to protect me other than myself. I realized at a very young age I needed to toughen up. I needed to stand up no matter the violence. I needed to be the one in the family to protect others. So yeah, this created this woman in front of you that had to grow up way too fast. That ended up being the family member who was her most happiest alone and away from everyone. I turned it into my strength. However, now I feel extremely uncomfortable relying on other people and needing people because for so long I felt weak if I did, and I am anything but that. You know, when you're a child and your emotional needs are immense, you kind of adapt to that and realize early on that you don't need anybody because you learn to soothe yourself and take care of yourself because every time you did need somebody, they made you feel really bad for having emotions, even though, we're kids and they're adults. And that's because a lot of the people that raised us, our parents or our guardians, aren't healed. And I love my parents. I'm at the part in my healing journey, my healing stage where, you heal so much to where you don't resent, you're not angry, you just see them as wounded and inner children too, right? And going on this journey and being in this point of time, I'm now in a comfortable state to where I can understand that it's okay if I do need somebody. I tend to keep things in on my own. I tend to handle my things by myself. You guys know my story. I always say it, but in case you're new, I moved out when I was 18. I went to college. Always rented rooms with college people. I worked. I was on my own. Never asked my parents for money. Never asked my parents for anything. I did my own thing. I've lived in Vegas for 2 years. I graduated college. I self-employed. So I was just very independent in that sense where I always took care of myself and I never asked anybody for anything. I don't know how to need somebody. I need myself. And however, that turned into my strength. It really did. That is something that I'm very grateful for because it turned into something that I admire about myself. I can take care of myself, and I'm, being the firstborn generational curse breaker. A lot of us, firstborn daughter, a lot of us are very independent, and I realize, especially being in a romantic partnership, that it's okay to need my partner and to vent and to lean on somebody because I don't vent. And it's crazy because I'm very open with my life. You guys see I'm very open. I want to help people. And the reason why I know this though is because I give people the love that I wanted, right? I like when people need me, but I don't want to need anybody. I need myself. I don't know how to need somebody. And I can fully admit that I'm very uncomfortable needing somebody. I'm very uncomfortable having close relationships with people. Very uncomfortable. I have no friends, you guys. I have completely no friends. I have no friends. I just fuck with me. I fuck with myself. And because I didn't have those close relationships growing up with anybody, I don't know how to gain and have and maintain a close relationship with people. And also it's really uncomfortable needing people and getting close. It's really fucking uncomfortable. And I like to be alone. And I'm realizing that back in the day I would see this uncomfortable feeling, and I would just, I don't want to deal with it. I don't care. It's just me, myself, and I don't need anybody, right? Now I'm at a part in my journey where I've done the inner work, I've healed all those major crazy things that I went through, and I'm happy. And I can see now that this is another part of me, a shadow, a deep depth part of me that I can bring up and work on. I'm able to sit with my uncomfortable feelings now. In this sense, I'm able to realize that it's okay to need somebody, and I can take the steps that is needed to overcome this and learn how to need somebody without feeling weak. Because that's the big thing, is I don't need anybody because I feel weak. It makes me feel like I can't do anything on my own, and I don't like that. I'm somebody who I will scream on the top of the hill and die there, screaming for my freedom. I'm somebody who is very free. I don't tell anybody what I'm doing. I don't tell anybody where I'm going. I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing or where I'm going. I'm going to do whatever I want, whenever I want, because I'm free. And I was very rebellious growing up in that sense. I did whatever the fuck I want. And I understand. I have that under control now. I'm not doing crazy shit. But that ties into needing people, because I never need anybody. I just did my own shit. And like I said, being in a romantic partnership, I think it's very healthy when this other person is telling you that it's okay to need them, and they see you handling your shit on your own and not opening up, right? And so I'm learning in that sense that when it's 50-50, this could tie into friendships too, but this applies to me in a romantic setting. When it's 50-50 and I'm going to be there for that person, they're going to be there for me, and they're willing to be a shoulder to lean on, then I have to learn to do that without feeling weak. And it's okay to be uncomfortable, you guys. I really do mean this shit makes me really fucking uncomfortable. I wanted to talk about this because literally this past weekend, it was that time of the month for me, so I was really fucking emotional. But I'm somebody who holds things in the sense to where I won't tell anybody what I'm going through. I like to hermit. I will disappear and isolate myself until I feel like myself again. And I disappear and isolate myself on a fucking daily basis anyway, because I that's just me. But when I'm going through things, I won't tell anybody. I won't ask anybody for help. It's me, myself, and I. And this past weekend, I just felt really overwhelmed because, there's a lot of things going on in everybody's lives, and we're evolving, and, manifestations, I'm waiting for them to come in. And I'm in the part of my life where things are crumbling down. So, spirit can launch you forward. And the crumble down has been really intense for me. And, I just, my partner and my boyfriend had asked me, he's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah," and I kept it in, but then I just word vomit, just started crying, and and he was there for me. And I told him after, I was like, "You know what? I've never done this." So what I asked him was like, "Was I weak? I'm sorry. Was this weak? Did I look weak?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna be there for you. You can come to me when you need to open up." And I realized that out of the 8 months I've known him, I've never once opened up like that. Like, I'll tell him my life and I'll tell him everything, and he knows everything, but open up in the sense to where it is very deep and I cry. Because I do that shit alone. I don't lean on people. I don't need anybody. But I did it with him, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. And so it just put into my perspective that this is something that I'm working on, is understanding and knowing and telling myself that I'm not weak for doing this. You know, to see that there's somebody that cares about me, because there's always people out there that care about us. I think I just had the mindset that I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take care of myself because I come from, you know, old past wounds where a majority of people that I encountered didn't give a fuck about me. But that was just because it was a reflection of how much fucks I give about myself, right? But it's new territory of needing somebody, and it's uncomfortable, but I'm working on it. And it's crazy because I've said this, I think I said this before, I can get close to strangers, and I love when people trauma dump. I love when people trauma dump. I love when strangers, I love when we have deep conversations. I prefer deep conversations with people on a very deep level, even if I don't know you. I've just always been that person that people come to and tell their entire life story to, and I love it. And I can tell you my trauma, and I can tell you everything, and I won't shed a tear. I won't feel it. That's the thing with me, is that I will open up, but I disconnect myself from all the emotions. And I know, you know, I realize things were bad and stuff, but I just, because I think growing up I was forced to not need anybody. I was never the one to like cry. I just got angry. I turned that shit into anger. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships and long-term relationships, I suppose, with people and needing somebody, I don't do that. I there's I don't know how to do that. And yeah, I'm learning how to do that. So I just want to talk about that just in case somebody else is going through this too, because you don't really realize things about yourself until you're ready to understand these parts of you, until you're ready to face these parts of you. I always say this, there are parts of us that are in the shadow that are unlocked or that are locked up. But until we're in a vibrational frequency match that is able to understand and hold space for those parts, you're not really gonna see it. I've always known that it was uncomfortable, but I never gave it a deeper thought into it until recently. I just, whenever I felt uncomfortable, like I said, I would just remove myself, and I never need anybody. I never needed friends. I never tried to have friends. It was just me. And now I realize that it's okay to need people. It's actually very healthy to, you know, even have one person that you can call on, that's a friend, that's a partner, that will be there for you and not judge you. And you know, when you need it, when you need them, they will be there, and when they need you, you will be there, right? Because I do believe it's a 50-50. You're not putting your entire emotional baggage on somebody and you are lacking that for them, like you're not there for them. I feel like maybe we could take advantage of people in that way, but just people, it's an agreement, unspoken agreement, because you care about each other so deeply. And whether it's one person, two person, three person, whatever you have, community, it's okay to need people. It's okay. You're not weak if you do. And that is something that I'm working on. I'm not weak if I need somebody. I'm not weak. I'm always strong. I'm always going to be strong. I know who I am. I have nothing to prove. Nothing to prove to myself anymore. What else? Like, I have nothing to prove to myself. I did it. So the one thing though that I do need to do is be uncomfortable and understand that it's okay to need people. And yeah, that's the journey that I'm on now. That is very strong too. And I want to remind you, I think it's very brave when people are able to ask for help. And they're not afraid to show those vulnerable parts of themselves. And when they need people, I think it's very brave to be vulnerable. Just because you need somebody, that doesn't mean you're weak. That means you're actually very strong for realizing within yourself that sometimes you can't do it alone. And that's really fucking strong. And if you do it alone, that's strong too. So that's a part of me that I'm kind of opening up, because I have a really good relationship with my inner child, with the little me. But I think that that's a part of my inner child, but then also my angry ass inner teen that I gotta deal with. That is coming out. And when I learn more on this topic, I'll revisit this video. But this is all I kind of am aware of at the moment. I just wanted to speak because I know that somebody who is going through the same thing is going to come across my video and feel a little less alone. And that's That's all I'm here for, right? I'm just here to show that you can also do these things, do the hard things. But yeah, okay, that's it. I love you, my friends, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye, my loves.